Welcome to Oddball. I'm Izzy Gutierrez. Amin Elhassan is not here. That's how much we thought this series would be over by now, frankly. I think we both had the Thunder in 5, and we're getting a Game 7 now. But I do think that a Game 7 does a lot for this series, all right? Only if the Indiana Pacers win. If the Indiana Pacers win and turn this sort of series, this season on its head, it makes for not only a great storyline throughout the season, it turns this series into a memorable 7-game series where the underdog comes through. But it just sort of creates an entirely new narrative for the Oklahoma City Thunder. We all thought that they were going from the team that didn't make it in the second round last year. That was their big hurdle to overcome. And now here they come and dominate the league, and they finish it off in a 7-game series that would be remembered, but not nearly as much as if Indiana were to win it. So we've got this Game 7 coming up, and rather than just hear me monologue for 20 minutes, we're going to have to bring in producer Gabe, and that's first name producer, last name Gabe. And he's just going to kind of guide me through this conversation a little bit so that you don't hear me monologue forever. Welcome, Gabe, a.k.a. Phony Reality. How are you, bud?
Yes, Phony Reality here. Glad to be with you, Izzy. I will just keep you moving forward. I will say, disclosure, Knicks fan. Don't love being here to hand flowers out to the Pacers. We've got some stats coming. Yeah, this is not going to be great for me. Here's an interesting stat that sparked a conversation behind the scenes. The Pacers have not lost a Game 6 at home since 2013, which basically means if they're in an elimination game at home, they always win, or at least a bunch of guys wearing their uniform have.
Yeah, that also means they don't have home court advantage ever because they always are going to have a Game 7 on the road. Look, the interesting part about these two teams is that, the Pacers win with a style of play. They win, obviously, with Tyrese Haliburton leading the way, Pascal Siakam sort of leveling them up, really steadying them. The Oklahoma City Thunder obviously revolve everything around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay? So in both scenarios, you have situations where the role player's pretty darn important. And they're obviously going to play better at home, whether it's a TJ McConnell sort of, getting the crowd crazy, whether it's, Andrew Nembhard, maybe he goes Andrew Nemsoft when he's on the road a little bit. And so these guys, it makes such a huge difference, especially when you look at how they're treating Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, if you look at this series, Shai has been, when he turns the ball over, that's basically when they lose these games. Because Game 1, he didn't turn the ball over, but that took a crazy comeback from Indiana. They probably should have won that game. Those other 2 games that the Thunder have won, turnovers have been low. These 2 games where the Indiana Pacers have actually sort of pulled away, turnovers are high, making Shai look like he hasn't really faced this type of defense before, whether it's Nembhard or Nesmith or even Pascal Siakam, who was just on fire defensively. Like, this is the highest level of defense that Shai has seen. And so he's going to have to trim those turnovers down. He's going to have to find a way to, if he's spinning, if he's doing anything, make sure that those extra hands are not affecting him. Because if he's turned the ball over, Jalen Williams might be able to give you another 30-piece, maybe another 40-piece, but I wouldn't expect that. So Shai has to be that guy, and this Indiana defense is making life miserable for him. If you look at these numbers, this is the worst stretch he's probably had, definitely in these playoffs, in these losses. So, yeah, I think the Indiana defense is probably underrated. That happens at home. They're going to get a lot better. If they can sort of try to replicate that in Oklahoma City, and you include the stress of a Game 7, I think the Pacers might actually have a chance.
Okay, so you're normally covering games from a press box. You have access. I'm just a goofy fan if I even get to be at the arena. So I like to believe that me and my friends and the fans make a big difference. But help me understand. Is the difference between being in OKC and being in Indiana, is it the crowd? Is it something else? Because the plus minus point differential, in Oklahoma City for the Thunder is like record breaking. And then they're garbage when they get on the road. Yeah. Like, do we get credit? The fans get credit for that kind of thing?
Well, I'll mention that it's a plus 247 point differential at home in the playoffs. That's the best ever. And on the road, they're minus 67. And so that's just a huge number there. I think it comes back down to those role player situation, because if you've got, Shai's going to do what he does. Tyrese and Pascal are largely going to play the game the same way. When they're giving their 100% all the time, when these role players actually provide something, and that's usually going to happen at home a lot more, that's going to be the biggest difference. But I do give the actual fans credit, man, because in New York, they're not standing for the entire game. There's just an added element of pressure when you just sort of feel that. OKC did that. Indiana just did that. And what it makes me think of was not necessarily how BS those 2020 and 2021 titles were by the Lakers and Bucks respectively, but just how weird they were and how that element of not having the crowd, it's just, it shows you how important that actually is, how it goes from basically perfect basketball, the same stuff that you play on the practice courts, to the missed free throws and all the mistakes and just everything else. And I do think that makes a huge difference. So I do give, 5% credit to those small market teams who understand the moment. There's nothing else greater in their entire existence right now. They are not even they can't even sit down. I think that's sort of the players feel that at some point. And if there's that much of a margin, a razor thin margin between the two teams, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah. You're talking about sort of powers, hard to define influence over players. Did you notice Pascal Siakam seemed to be taken over by some sort of a spirit? What is happening with that guy? Can we show that?
What's funny is, the guy, eyes rolling in the back of his head. I have a friend, I won't say his name, hopefully he's not listening. He kind of has his thing. I don't know if it's a condition, I never really asked, where he just kind of does that kind of randomly all the time. And I just try to look the other way whenever it happens. I'm it's nothing for me to worry about. But every time I'm just what does that feel like? What is that feeling? And then I saw this and I was like, oh, okay. Maybe there is something to it. That is a scary looking image. And I don't know if you've done that before. If you've rolled your eyes back into your head, very long time, it's kind of a weird feeling. And I don't know, maybe he likes it, but, he was absolutely amazing defensively. He looked like he was possessed. That dunk was I would say the most exciting play of these playoffs, the no look from Tyrese and the finish from Pascal. I'm sorry, not these playoffs, of these finals. But it made me think of a couple of things. It made me think that these finals are kind of missing a little bit of the sort of super athletic energy, right? But it also made me think that I need to apologize to 2006 Dwayne Wade. I did this on Stupidity, so I'm sorry I didn't do this first here. But I said on this show in the elevator game we were playing that I wouldn't get off the elevator if 2006 Dwayne Wade showed up and I was in there with Shea. I'm so wrong about that, man. I think I was just caught up in the idea that Shea won the MVP, averaged more points, seemed like he could get his points no matter what, regardless of, style of play, comparing him to Dwayne Wade. But it's not true. It's not. These Pacers are showing you it's not. I'm envisioning 2006 Dwayne Wade on this floor instead of Shea, and he would just be so dynamic that I think I have to take that back. I'm getting back on that. And all the people in the comments, and we posted that. You're right, man. What the hell's wrong with this guy? You're right. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So I apologize to 2006 Dwayne Wade. Shea is not better than him.
Wow. Okay. That was big.
And I get to that from Pascal's eyes being in the top, whatever. I just had to apologize for 06 Dwayne Wade, or 206 Dwayne Wade.
Well, on behalf of Amin, on behalf of Dwayne, we thank you. Can we talk centers for a second? Because we have not seen great play at the 5, right? There's a stat. This, I think, was chosen as a stat to share with you because I'm sitting in here right now. Mm-hmm. Let's call this stat up. Of the 3 worst center performances in finals history, we've got 2 of the 3. The third is my guy, Patrick Ewing, in 94. What's going on down in the block? What's going on at the 5?
Well, first of all, I need to rewatch the 1994 finals, apparently. I must have been too distracted by O.J. Simpson because Patrick Ewing shooting 36%. The only thing you ever remember is John Starks shooting 1 for, 18? 0 for, who knows, in that game, in that clinching game. But 36% from Patrick Ewing does not sound familiar. But the Miles Turner thing, look, he's a big guy who shoots from distance. He's going to go through cold stretches. He's probably going to go through cold stretches late in the season against a really good defense. That one I don't want to read too much into. The Chet Holmgren one at 35% is interesting because he's supposed to be sort of that luxury weapon, right? He's supposed to be something that the other team doesn't have, and you don't know what to do with him. And yet 35%, like now I don't want to say that this narrative that's going to be created if the Thunder lose, it's nothing like the 2013 Spurs, right? Because they had the title in their hands. They were just, one Ray Allen jumper away from doing that. But they are going to have to rethink their situation, right? They're going to have to look at their roster and say, well, we got 68 wins. We got to the final, but we couldn't beat a Pacers team that, say everything you want about that team, they're the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And they're going to have to look at things. And I wonder if Chet Holmgren is one of those pieces that they're going to look at and say, well, what does this project out to? Because if he's just going to be that nice player who does some stuff every once in a while where you're just like, hey, that guy looks like an alien, that's not going to be enough to rely on to win championships. So if they lose this game 7, just like the way the Knicks lost in their series and all of a sudden everything's Tom Thibodeau's fault, if they lose this game 7, will they look at Chet Holmgren and say, hey, buddy, where was your 40 piece in these playoffs? Where was your, 10 block game? Why were you, not dominant at all? And beyond not dominant, you're shooting 35%, like historically bad for the position. So you're supposed to be the guy who changes everything at the center spot, not this. So I think this is a huge game for Chet. Because before he sort of drops his value too much, you want to be able to say, hey, do I have a piece here where I can get, I don't know, a Giannis Antetokounmpo in town to really finalize this Thunder championship? Or, do I have faith in Chet and he'll fill out a little bit and be a lot more efficient going forward? I don't have that much faith in that. I think the former might happen where they explore moving him.
Win or loss, or just loss?
Because if they win, you're talking, okay, let's build on this. Maybe there's a dynasty there. If you lose, you're saying, okay, we lost to the Pacers. Who else could we lose to potentially? Who else could Chet get bullied by? Or, you looked at the Miles Turner matchup, right? The numbers. He's not doing great either. So you should be dominating this series, and you're not. And so I would imagine other centers with a little bit more of an interior game would absolutely eat up Chet in the future. So I think if they lose, and he continues to just be, or didn't dominate game 7, then I would say that's a thought. I'm not saying they go and move him immediately. It's something that you think about win a loss. You probably don't think about it at all if they win a championship.
All right. Well, one name we haven't really spoken about who probably deserves a little bit more attention, and not that I'm going to put him on the hook, but minus 40 plus minus for Jalen Williams in game 6.
Back-to-back 40 pieces, right?
Yeah. Lowest plus minus in finals game in the play-by-play era. I don't actually know what era that is meant to represent, but for a long time. Are we talking about where he goes? Is he permanent no matter how he plays? Is just Chet as a piece?
Dude, we're one game away from people calling him Scottie Pippen, which is a stretch. And it's not even that much of a stretch, but it's a stretch. And so to go from that to this is the thing I've always wondered with Jalen is yes, he can give you the game. He can have, an entire season look like an all-star. But if, let's say you got to go a month, 6 weeks without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you put Jalen Williams as the head of the snake lead guy. What's that going to look like? I have no idea. It's going to be a roller coaster. I'll tell you that. I don't think it's going to be any level of consistency. Now, he wasn't the one turning the ball over a ton. That was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And obviously they're on the floor together a lot. So, the plus minus numbers can be somewhat deceiving. Lou Dort was a minus 28. Alex Caruso was a minus 33 in 22 minutes. It all seemed like math riddles. But I think what you're looking for from Jalen is just a level of consistency at that high level, because he's pretty consistent as it is. He's not going to give you absolute trash games, but consistency at a high level where, okay, I can actually call you Scottie Pippen, and I can say, hey, if we have to go a playoff series without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I trust you can be our lead guy. We're not there yet. And so that's just kind of where we are with Jalen. I talked about it with Amin, pretty much a student of the game. I don't think he's going to get any worse. I don't think he's going to get in his own head about things. And so, yeah, I think he's a keeper for sure, but he's got to step up in this game 7, really have no question marks going into the offseason, and then really find that level of consistency going forward.
All right. So you said game 7. This is a show that exists, which means you have to make predictions. So I'll pin you down. Give me a game 7 prediction.
I have a strange feeling that the Thunder are a little bit choky. I think, the T-shirts were there yesterday. They won't be there in game 7. Maybe they will from that little crowd of Pacers fans that are going to be wearing yellow there. But I have a feeling that the Pacers are going to win. I think it makes for a better storyline. I think it creates this, who are these Pacers? Is, as Amin said, Tyrese Halliburton the next Tom Brady, or the Tom Brady of the NBA? And that Thunder, won't even have to think about the Thunder until next year in the finals, which a lot of people don't want to do. Like, what was the Bill Parcells line? I don't want to hear about the labor pains. Just show me the baby. Like, show me the baby, Thunder, because nobody wants to hear it anymore. Like, we've been lauding you all season long. Amin has been saying you guys are the greatest, and you got to finish it. Otherwise, it's going to be a terrible offseason and a very just grind of a regular season next year. I think storyline wise, I think in terms of personality, the Pacers have a better team to market. So I think there's a lot of things leading Pacers. And so I'm going to say Pacers win game 7. I don't even need Amin to be here to say he's going to pick the Thunder in 7, because he picked the Thunder in 5. He picked the Thunder at the beginning of the season. He picked the Thunder at the start of the playoffs. So Amin's got the Thunder. I've got the Pacers in game 7. Maybe it salvages this series because not a lot of people were watching, but if the Pacers win, I think it salvages the entire season. Welcome back to Oddball. It's time for another edition of Headlines, where I, not Amin, will take you through some of the biggest headlines in the NBA today. Headlines is presented by Remy Martin's 1738 Accord Royal. Exceptionally smooth cognac for all your game day festivities. Please drink responsibly. All right. First headline. Big man Zach Edey from Memphis was charged for driving 101 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone in Tippecanoe County, Indiana, just 10 miles from his former college campus at Purdue. The ticketing officer's body cam picked up this quote from Edey. "Hey, Amin, who's slow now?" No, but seriously, Gabe, how do you not get out of a ticket 10 miles from Purdue if you're Zach freaking Edey? Like, can't he just step out of the car and be like, dude, do you not remember me? Like, it's kind of ridiculous that he got that ticket.
Yeah, you got to win more chips, You can't get out of tickets unless you bring rings.
Right. All right, next headline. DeMarcus Cousins recently said the Phoenix Suns got in multiple fistfights during this season, to which Kevin Durant denied on social media, saying the Suns never got close to fighting. The two former Warriors teammates are said to be squashing the beef by flying to Washington, D.C. to both punch Jordan Poole. It seems to be the way to go. Like, everything's better when you punch Jordan Poole and get him the hell out of there. That's it for this week's headlines. I'm sure Amin is sad for missing it. That's it for Oddball.